Hello and welcome to this session on what's new in QuickBooks for small to medium businesses. My name is Jackie Stewart and I'm the director of my company, Financial Training and Consultancy Limited, that I've been running for over 9 years. I'm also a qualified chartered accountant and a teacher, and I specialise in educating communities on personal and business finances. So let's see what's coming up today in this session that I will be covering for you. We're going to start with the cash flow planner. So we're going to begin with this relatively new tool that will help us to see what our current cash position is, but it will also be able to predict what's happening for us in the future. We're then going to move on to budgeting versus cash flow forecasts. So we're going to see the differences between the two, because I know sometimes a few of my clients can get a little bit confused about those differences. We're going to move on to some new invoice reminders and third-party payments that's within QuickBooks. So how we can actually use those tools to help us to get paid quicker and to make it easier for our customers to also be able to pay us also. We're then going to look at tags and how we can use tags to tag transactions, and that's going to be able to help us with our reporting. And then we're going to end off the session with looking at the usage of the mobile app. So I know that a lot more of my clients are beginning to see the benefits of using the mobile app, especially while they're on the go, and also for their day-to-day bookkeeping and for checking things like their cash flow. So let me set the scenario for you. So as businesses, we can find ourselves in situations where we have done our budget and our business is looking good. However, there are still times when we are struggling to pay our own suppliers or pay our monthly salaries, for example. Or it may be that we want to buy a new company vehicle. Now, you may have invoices that you have raised and you know that your invoices can cover your costs. But the issue is not actually receiving your payment from your customers in time. And what is that? That is simply a cash flow issue. So what I'm going to do is show you some new tools in QuickBooks that can help to alleviate those situations. Today's session, I'm going to be basing it on a simple consultancy company that is growing and taking on new consultants. Our consultants are salaried, but you're going to also see how I'm going to use tags for reporting and working out their bonus payments as well. So the cash flow planner uses the data in QuickBooks, in the QuickBooks software, and it's linked to your bank accounts. It can link to your credit cards. It can link to your cash accounts, but it must have the connection to those in order to be able for you to be able to use it. And what it does is it takes that information and it uses this to predict the amount of cash that you will have available to you in the future. So let's go into the software. So from the main dashboard, to access the cash flow planner, we're going to go to the left-hand side, the area in dark grey, and we're going to click on cash flow. So what I'm going to do is just give you an overview of this dashboard area. So the first thing you can see is today's balance. So you'll be able to see that because obviously you have linked your accounts to the cash flow planner. And you can decide which period you want to see that for. Mine is set at 12 months, but you've got other options here. Towards the right of the screen, you have this settings icon here. And if I click on there, you can decide which of your accounts you want to link to the cash flow planner. You also get the option to decide which transactions you want to bring in. Now, the more transactions that you can bring in is the more accurate that the predictions will be. And you can even set yourself a threshold. So once you've made those choices, you can just click save, and then QuickBooks will start to do those predictions. So we have on the screen here a graph that you can see here. It's telling us historically what's happened, and then it's moving forward to predict the future. So let's click on money in and out. That's just going to give you a different view. So I click on money in and money out. And what you can see is it's showing us what we've got. Money in green stands for money in, blue stands for money out. So we've got a few months where we spent more than we've had coming in, which is a usual thing to happen. And then we can see January showing nothing, probably because we were still on holiday from December. So what I'm going to do now is show you here how you can use all this information to make changes to your forecast. So the key thing to remember is whatever changes we are making here is not going to actually affect your real transactions within your bookkeeping area. It's only affecting what's going on within the cash flow planner. So what it's showing us here is that we have some overdue transactions. So you can see it's telling us there's two. So if I click on update, I can see that I've raised some invoices, but they have yet to be paid. So it may be that I'm manually doing my credit control. Once I've showed you how you can make this automated, you won't need to do that. But let's say I've contacted Hazel Robinson, my customer, and she's now informed me that she's going to be paying this invoice today or at some point, because maybe it was sitting in her inbox, in her email inbox. So you can then make the change here to see how it's going to affect your forecast. So I could click within the transaction and I can change the date here. So maybe she said that she's going to pay it today or at the weekend. So maybe I just want to put it in on the 4th. I can click update and then click done. And then that will affect my cash flow forecast. So I'm just going to click done. So you would see it happening in your future prediction. So February's income will have gone up because it's predicting that money's going to come in. The other thing you can do is add transactions, and I'm going to show you how to do that shortly. But if we just look a bit further down the screen, you can see that we have some predictions here. So when you get this icon here that says predict next to the predicted, that's where QuickBooks is basing it on patterns from your banking history. So if there's regular payments that you make, it's going to predict it for the future. You're also able, that's the invoice that I've just changed, which has now come into my prediction that you saw was in my overdue area. It's now come down here. So you can also plan your own transactions. So because we are taking on new staff in the consultancy, you can see that I've created a planned transaction here, which I'll show you how to do in a moment. But I've got this one already created. So I've put the date, it's a new staff member, but I've made it recurring. It's going to repeat because it's their salaries. And that's why it gets this extra little icon next to it. So let me go in and show you how to create these transactions. So we're going to have to pay our bonuses. Say we're going to pay them in April. So I'm going to add a transaction. So I go to add transaction. And instead of money in, I'm going to click on money out and I'm going to change the date. We're going to pay those in April. So this is our bonus payments to our consultants. So let's say we're going to pay them on the 22nd of April. I type in bonus payments and then I type in the amount and then I click save. And so once I've clicked save, we're going to be able to see again, if I scroll back up, how it's affected our cash flow here. So there you go. We now again have more money going out, and you can just keep going through that and keep changing things. I mean, I've got 2 lots of bonuses here. So maybe I'd created one in error. So it's really easy to get rid of it. I can just click remove. So it's so easy to manipulate the figures just in this area to see how it's going to affect your cash flow forecast. So I'm going to click remove. And then it's just got the one that I literally have just created. And maybe again, I need to change that because maybe I've worked it out and actually it's not 3,000. I left off another figure. So maybe it's £13,000 when I've totaled it up correctly. Click update. And again, you're going to see the changes that it has on our cash flow. There you go. So that's how you can actually add transactions. And you're going to just be looking around and seeing what's coming up. What do you know about that QuickBooks hasn't predicted? So what have you got planned? And that's where you can go in and add them and make those changes. So just a little recap again, you must have your bank accounts connected to QuickBooks in order to use the cash flow facility. Also, if you're using multi-currency and you have it switched on within the software, you're going to be unable to use the cash flow. But creating the transactions does not actually affect your actual transactions here. So you're able to just go around with the figures and play around with them. And it's just a great way to see how those predictions are going to affect your cash flow. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at budgeting and versus cash flow. So we're going to look at the difference between budgeting and cash flow. So to find budgeting, I'm going to go to my gear icon, which is at the top right-hand corner, and I'm going to click on tools go down to budgeting, click on budgeting, which is just under tools. So with budgeting, remember it's a planning tool. So we can guesstimate what we think is going to happen, but we don't know if that's actually really happening, where our cash is telling us our money in and out at a given time. So I'm just going to click on budgeting. I have one that I've already created. Here it is, 2022. I'm going to click on edit. And I'm just going to get rid of some of the blank lines. So I can go to my settings icon here, tick the box that says hide blank rows. And now I'm able to just see what I want to see. So you can see here that we have some sales coming out. So we've predicted what our sales is going to be. We've got a loan that we may have taken in to help us with our cash flow. And then we've got all our expenses here. We've got our payroll expenses, any bonus payments we're going to make. We can budget for that as well. But the difference here is when it actually does happen. So we know that we can raise our invoices. We may have £10,000 worth of invoices for January, but it could be that some of our customers are having some struggles themselves with cash flow, or they may have asked us if they can pay installments or take a bit longer to pay their invoices. It could be a number of reasons. So that's the difference with the cash flow. In the cash flow, we may know when we're going to get that money in. So although it's showing 10,000 here, the reality is we may not receive that until February or March. So it looks good on paper in our budget, which is still very useful, but our cash flow is giving us more with the reality of when the cash is actually going to appear. So that's the main difference between your budget and your cash flow. And to set up a budget within QuickBooks is really easy. You just go to add budget, click on the add budget icon, give it a name, and then follow through to the next steps. So that's budgeting. So now let's look at some other tools that we can use to help ensure that we get paid on time, and also our customers also have access to pay us more easier as well, which is going to help us both all around. So now we're going to have a look at how we can switch on automatic reminders within QuickBooks so that our clients will be reminded to pay us and we will not have to do that task manually. So I'm going to navigate to a new invoice, so new to the left-hand corner, and under customers, I'm going to click on invoice. So this is going to really help us to get paid quicker, which in turn is going to help us with our cash flow by ensuring that we get our money so that we can then pay our bills on time. So the first thing you can see on the invoice is I have this reminders section here, which is new. So we've got the reminders, so I can click on that to edit it. So now what it's going to do is open that up in a new tab for me. So that's taken us to our account and settings section, and it's the section under sales. So I'm going to scroll down to my reminders, click on my edit button so that it takes me within that section, and now I can switch it on. So you have the option to have 3 reminders. You can set 3 different ones up. You could set them for maybe on the same day that the invoice is due. You could set another one up for maybe 5 days when it's should have been paid, and another one for 10 days. It's entirely up to you. So I'm going to click on the first one, and it's defaulted to on the due date, but I have the option to change that by clicking on the drop down arrow here. I also have the option to change the message that will go out to my customers, or I can leave it at this default one. But once I've set up my reminder or my reminders, if I want to set up multiple, I just need to click save so that it saves that, and then click done. and my reminders will be set up. So I can now switch back to my invoice, and now it's going to tell me that I have one reminder on, which is really useful because if you're invoicing and you may forget that you've switched your invoice reminders on, you're going to get this notification. Likewise, you may have a customer that you don't actually want to send a reminder to. So there's two ways you can deal with that. One of the ways is to not put in an email address, so then it won't automatically get emailed out to the customer. Or you could set the due date so far into the future, so maybe a year, that they will definitely have paid by the time they get that reminder. So that's entirely up to you. Now, what we're going to look at next is how we can, now that we've set up our reminders, we're going to look at the various ways that we can actually receive payment. So just and still staying within the invoice, you can see this payment options that I have here. So this is where I can accept card payments with PayPal, or I can set up a direct debit using Go Cardless. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take you to the area where we can get these all set up, and you can even see some more information. So I'm going to just close out of my invoice. I'm going to go to my sales area and I'm going to click on overview. So this is going to really make it easier for our customers to pay us, because when they actually receive the invoice from us, there will be a link on that invoice where they can click on it and make the payments to us. So we can see a graph here of our income. So I'm just going to navigate a bit further down and to show you the three options that we have within this area. So the first one is by using PayPal. So customers can use a debit or a credit card, or if they have Amex, they can pay, or just their PayPal to actually pay those invoices. Now we have the fees here. So they're showing you what the fees are that you will pay for each transaction. Now, if you've made the link with QuickBooks and PayPal, you're going to be able to get access to some preferential rates also. So that's another reason why it will help you to make that connection to PayPal. So what you would do is click on Start, and it will take you through to make the connection to do the link between PayPal and QuickBooks. So that's the first option. The second option we have is Go Cardless. So this is where we can accept direct debits, and it's really good for recurring fees. So you don't even have to remember to create the actual invoice. Let me show you how that would work. The whole process would be automatic. So we've got the shortcut showing from within this area to set up our recurring invoice. So if I click on recurring invoice, I can set up my invoice for my customers. So say, for example, for the consultancy, I have customers that I invoice monthly on a regular date. I could schedule that invoice, give the template a name, choose my customer, decide which day that I want them to be invoiced of the month, and I can set up the direct debit. That's going to make everything seamless. And if you do the link with Go Cardless, it will even automatically collect the direct debit for you. And what that does, it makes the receive payment option within QuickBooks automatic. So the only thing you need to do when that receipt comes through your bank account area is click match. So let me close out of that template. So that's Go Cardless. So again, you can just click Start and make the connection, follow the instructions from there. And the final option is by using Zettle. So Zettle is really great for those of you that have to take payment when you are actually with the client. And again, what you do get here is you will get access to a discounted card reader. So that's only for QuickBooks customers. So you can make the connection here, and when you're out and about with your clients, you would have your card reader and they can pay you there. What's easier than that? You don't even have to send them an email. So that's the three payment options that's really going to make it easier for you. So automating the whole income process. And what that does, it allows you to focus on other things while helping your cash flow to run smoothly. And just to point out, if you want to actually see your recurring invoices that you've set up, if you want to know where they sit, it's within your gear icon, top right hand corner, and under lists, you'll see recurring transactions, and you can go in and edit them or delete them if they no longer need to be in action. So that is setting up your reminders from within the invoice, and that's also setting up your payment options and just automating that whole process. So by using tags, there are different ways in which you can tag your transactions. So some charities use it to tag their donations, which helps them to complete their gift aid claims. I'm going to use it to tag our consultants so we can run a report for working out their bonus payments. So I'm going to navigate to the gear icon. Actually, let me show you how you can get to it from the banking area, because that's also useful as well. But there's more than one way you can get to it. You can go to the gear icon and click on tags, but you can also click on banking. And it's the third option. Click on banking, and it's the third option, which is tags. So more than one way you can get into this area. So the first thing you can see on this screen is it's showing me for one of my tag groups that I've set up, which is called Legal Consultants. It's showing me what I've got in there, but I can choose any tags that I've set up in which I may just want to see a display on this first screen. I'm going to show you how to set up your new group shortly. You can see that I've currently got some tags set up already. I've got for my legal consultants, HR consultants. I'm tagging transactions for my R&D claim. So lots of various uses you can use tags for. So what I'm going to do is click on New to set up my new tag group. Click on Tag Group. And I'm going to give it a name. So this time I'm going to say this is for my accounting consultants. And I can choose another colour if I want to. Let's use grey this time, and then I can click save. And then in order to add the tags to the group, so these are going to be the actual consultants who work under the accounting department. So I'm going to make up some names here. So I've got Nick. So let me add Nick. And then I'm also going to add Julie. So I've got, Julie. So there you can see I've got my group and the tags within that group. Once you've done that, you can click Done. And now you can see that it's been created. So I've got no transactions yet because I haven't tagged any transactions. So let me show you how you can tag your transactions. So again, I'm going to go to New, and let's go to Invoice. So I can create a new invoice from here. So let me choose one of my customers. Let's choose Hazel Robinson. And here's the tag area. So if I click into this tag area, just going to get rid of this drawer on the right hand side. If I click into my tag area, I can choose the consultant that worked on Hazel Robinson. So I'm going to choose Julie. So I'm able to tag Julie, create my invoice. So if I haven't got it set up, I can set it up from here. But just for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to choose HR. But actually, let me choose one of my HR consultants so it's correct. So I'm going to choose Jane instead. So there we go. I've got Jane. I've got my figures all set up already. So all I need to do now is literally click Save and Close. So now I'm back within my tag area. And you can see here for HR consultants, for my legal consultants, I've got 3 transactions. And for my HR consultants, it's just refreshed and I now have 2 transactions. And so it means I'm able to now run a report on my tag group. So let's take our legal consultants one. So I'm going to click Run Report because it's got the most transactions. So we can see how much each of those consultants within that group, what they've actually done. So it's taken me into my report, my profit and loss by tag group. I'm going to change my date range so that it says all dates. Remember to run reports so it refreshes and updates it with the information. So I'm only looking at the income, even though it says profit and loss, I'm only tagging my consultants on the work that they've done. So I can see straight away that George has done £2,750 worth of sales and Helen has done 400. So I could now export this report to Excel. And then what I would be able to do is maybe have a formula there with the bonus rates. And then I'm able to see how much bonus I'm going to pay to my consultants. So that's just one of the ways that you can use tags. So now you're going to see how we can also stay up to date by using the mobile app in order to do our basic bookkeeping and also to look at our cash flow. So I know some of you use the mobile app and some of you don't. So I want to show you how you can maintain good cash flow from here too, whilst you're on the go. So you could be sitting on the train and you can just turn on your mobile app. You can send invoices, have a look at your cash flow, or if you're doing the school run and you're waiting outside. So it's a really good tool for you to be able to use while on the go. One of the great ways to ensure that your data is up to date is by using the mobile app. So every time you go and buy something, you can literally snap a shot of those receipts. So with the mobile app, it's free, so you don't pay any extra for it, and you will log in exactly the same way as you log in with your browser. It's available from your app store, depending on whether you're using Android or iPhone, so from the App Store or from the Play Store. And you just want to ensure you're downloading the correct one. So you want the bottom one, the second option, not the self-employed one, the one that's all coloured in green. So let me go into my mobile app client. So here I am in my J Consultancy Limited client file. And let's begin with the display. So if you look at the bottom, towards the bottom of the display, you'll see there's two new icons. We've got one that says My Business and another one that says Cash Flow. So I'm going to click on My Business. And here you can see your profitability for the period. So in this situation, it's showing me for the month of February. And what I really like with this is because you do need to have all your transactions updated to ensure that those figures are correct. So it's showing me that I still have 17 unreviewed transactions, and it's given me the option from right within this area to go in and categorize those transactions. Moving across to the cash flow icon. So again, we've been dealing with our cash flow in the browser version. You also have the opportunity to see that within the mobile app also. So it's showing you the graph. It's showing you what's coming up. You can even click and see what happened in the past. You've got today's balance. And you still have the option to add your transactions. So if I click on my plus button at the top right-hand corner, that's going to take me into the area where I can add my transaction. So just as you saw me do when we received the loan, I can add any money in transactions and my bonus payments that I were paying out. I have the option to add those here also. So again, it's making things so much easier for you, and you'll be able to play around with your cash flow and have a look at it just from the mobile app. I'm now going to click on my menu, and I'm going to show you a new feature that's within the invoices section. So I'm clicking on invoices, and I'm just going to choose one of the invoices I've already created. So what you would normally do once you've created your invoice is you would click on the three dots at the top right hand corner, and you would have the option to email this to your customer. Well, now you can also send it via your messaging app. So if I click on preview, it's going to give me another option to share my invoice. So I can share it via WhatsApp, for example, or whichever messaging apps that you use on your mobile device. So now it's another way of making it easier for my clients or my customers to see their invoice rather than me emailing it and maybe it getting lost within all their emails. I can now send it via a messaging app. What else have I got for you that's new? So we're going to go back to our dashboard and I'm going to show you what's new within mileage. So I'm going to click on mileage. Now, so mileage, we use mileage to track our journeys, so our business journeys. And what you could do before, it was only available to the primary admin. But now you have the availability to create other admin users within your company, and they will also have access to the mileage tool. So what you can do is you can set this to automatically track all your trips or all your journeys. Mine is switched to off right now, but you could go in and change that so that it would be switched to on. Or you have the option to manually create a trip. So I could click the plus button at the bottom right-hand corner, and I could click create a trip. Say where my starting point was, say where my ending point was, and it would calculate the mileage for me. But what you can also do now is use this auto track your miles. So maybe I'm taking a trip today and I know that I need it to track it because it's a business trip. So rather than have it automatically switched on, I can just track that particular journey. I do have to allow my app to give it access, to give my location access so that it can track it for me. But you can literally just do that. And once you arrive at your journey, you can click stop and it will stop tracking it and calculate it for you that way also. So that's another new feature within the mobile app. And then the other one I want to show you is Receipt Snap. So that's one of my favorites with using the mobile app. So I'm going back to my menu and I'm clicking on Receipt Snap. So what you can see now is all the receipts that I have already snapped. These are the ones that I've reviewed. So I click across the top into reviewed. These are the ones that are already within my books. But the ones sitting in for review have not yet gone into my books. And before you would snap your receipt, then you would need to go back into the browser version to be able to match them or add them or create your expenses with different splits. But now you can do that from within the mobile version. So the first receipt, you can see it's telling me it's already found a record. So it's probably already come through my bank account where I probably used my debit card. I've now uploaded the receipt and it's telling me it's found a match. So there's my receipt for my coffee shop. There's the expense it wants to match to. So I can just click on it and it's matched the receipt, and that receipt will now be against that expense. So nice and easy for me to do. So another one we can take a look at is a bill. So we've got a bill here. So again, you can create an expense from a bill now. So you have the option to decide whether it's a receipt or if it's a bill. And if it's a bill, you can just go in and complete all those details and you can create the expense, or you can wait for it to come through the bank and it will pick up the match that way. And then we can look at how we can split transactions also. Again, that's something really useful that we can do. So let's have a look how we can do that. So I've got my receipt for £63.46. I'm going to click on it. I can have a view of it also to see what else I've paid for. There's the option here to say whether it's a bill or receipt, but mine's a receipt, so I'm going to leave it at receipt. And it's telling me what my total amount is. So if I scroll down, you can see that I have two lines here that I've split. I've got my first line for £41.67, and I've got my second line, which is going to office and general expenses, which is for £13.46. And all you do is if you need to split other lines, you just keep clicking on this section here that says add split. Click on it, say how much it is for, choose the tax. Remember to make sure that your tax is inclusive because you've already spent the money on it, and then add your category. And that's all you need to do. And so if you can split it by category, but you can also split it by VAT also. So really useful, and definitely, as I said, one of my favorite things that I like to do. So again, like I say, I really enjoy using the mobile app. You could be sitting down on the train and you're able to do your bookkeeping, all your basic bookkeeping, just from using the mobile app. So now that we've come to the end of this session, let's have a quick recap and look at some key takeaways of what we've gone through today. So the first thing we did was look at the cash flow planner and how we can use it to help plan and predict those future expenses and also money coming in, and how we can ensure by using it that in the future we can really cover our bills. Then we looked at setting up our invoice reminders and using the third-party payment tools. And we saw how that can save us time in terms of doing our credit control and actually collecting the money in, but also how we can use it to ensure that our customers have an easy way to pay us. Then we looked at tagging transactions. So how you can use the tagging tool in order to run reports that again is just going to help you with running your bookkeeping, whether that be as the example that I showed you with your consultants and where you need it for bonuses, or if you're a charity and you're doing your gift aid claim. And then we ended with the mobile app. So it's a great way of you being able to manage your business while you're on the go. If you're going to need any further support, what you can do is you can go to the QuickBooks website and you'll find some free webinars in there. You'll have access to lots of support in there also. But this just leaves me to say thank you for joining me, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.